Every time you bite into a chili pepper, your brain is being lied to by a clever chemical trick. Sweat pours down your face, your heart rate spikes, and your mouth feels like it is on fire. But here's the wild part. There is no actual fire, no heat, and absolutely zero tissue damage. Your tongue's temperature has not budged even 1 degree, yet your body is screaming that it is melting. This raises a bizarre question. Why did half the planet taste this and decide they wanted more? Cultures from Mexico to Thailand have built entire cuisines around tricking their own nervous systems into panicking. It is a strange human behavior, intentionally seeking out a sensation that evolution designed us to avoid. This story involves a Nobel Prize, a 500-year-old trade accident, and a plant with a secret. Humans are hardwired to avoid pain because pain usually signals damage, and damage can lead to death. Logically, spicy food should have died out the first time some unlucky ancestor tried to eat it. Instead, spicy food has become one of the most popular and lucrative flavor categories on Earth. Sriracha is a billion-dollar industry, and hot sauce challenges have turned physical suffering into prime-time entertainment. To understand why we love this torture, we first have to understand the lie our body is being told. That burning sensation is not heat. It is a molecule hijacking one of the oldest alarm systems in existence. To get why millions of years of self-preservation lost to a fruit, we must look at a specific receptor. In 1997, neuroscientist David Julius finally identified the culprit behind this sensation, the TRPV1 protein. Located on your nerve endings, the actual job of TRPV1 is to detect genuine, dangerous thermal heat. It triggers when temperatures exceed 109 degrees Fahrenheit, the point where your tissue starts to cook. Capsaicin, the active compound in chilies, latches onto that exact same alarm bell in your mouth. The problem is that TRPV1 cannot tell the difference between a thermal burn and a chemical signal. It sends the same alarm signal to your brain every single time, regardless of the actual cause. Your brain receives a signal identical to real burning, triggering sweat, and dilated blood vessels. David Julius eventually received the 2021 Nobel Prize for uncovering this mystery that baffled science for decades. But this chemical reaction is not just a biological glitch. It is actually a highly precise weapon. Capsaicin barely affects birds, which is crucial because birds are the perfect partners for the plant. Birds swallow the seeds whole, passing them intact and spreading them across vast distances to grow. Mammals, however, chew the seeds with molars, destroying them before they ever have a chance to germinate. The plant evolved this heat to say no to seed destroyers, and yes, to the birds that spread them. Every time a mammal bites down and regrets it, that is not a malfunction. That is the plant winning. So how did a plant designed to scare off mammals end up in almost every kitchen on Earth? To find out, we have to rewind the clock to what was essentially a massive, global trade accident. People first began cultivating chilies in the Americas around 7000 BCE, keeping them isolated for millennia. For thousands of years, nowhere else on the planet had access to these spicy, heat-inducing fruits. This means Thai, Sichuan, Indian, and Korean cuisines were entirely chili-free until about 500 years ago. It is a staggering thought that some of the world's spiciest traditions are actually quite modern inventions. In the 1490s, Columbus landed in the Caribbean, searching for black pepper to bring back to Europe. He found chilies instead and simply called them peppers, creating a naming confusion that persists today. Columbus was not the one who spread them. It was the Portuguese who hauled them to Goa. From there, the chili exploded across Asia and Europe so fast that many assumed they were native. By 1569, they had reached Hungary, eventually becoming the foundation for paprika and iconic dishes like goulash. The heat in your favorite curry or kimchi is younger than the printing press, which is mind-boggling. Before chilies arrived, heat in these regions came from ginger or Sichuan peppercorns, which feel different. Those older spices trigger a numbing tingle rather than the intense TRPV1 mediated burn of the chili. As chili spread, humans needed a way to measure the intensity of this newfound, addictive sensation. In 1912, chemist Wilbur Scoville developed a method to quantify this heat by diluting pepper extract. He mixed the extract with sugar water until testers could no longer detect any heat at all. This became the Scoville Scale, a system we still use to rank everything from mild bell peppers. A jalapeno sits around 5,000 on the scale, while the Carolina Reaper exceeds 2 million units. Every one of those numbers represents how hard it is to trick your TRPV1 receptors into panicking. So here's the full picture. Your body is not malfunctioning when you eat a spicy meal. It is experiencing a false alarm, a sophisticated chemical trick that feels incredibly real to the brain. A molecule native to the Americas was dragged across the globe by traders 5 centuries ago. It successfully hijacked a receptor evolution built to keep you away from the dangers of real fire. The sweat, the racing heart, and the watering eyes are all responses to a non-existent threat. Your nervous system is being played, and yet, we have learned to embrace the deception completely. Across diverse cultures with no contact, people did not just tolerate the heat, they began craving it. This brings us to a deeper, stranger question about the nature of human pleasure and pain. If the body screams danger every time we eat spice, why does it feel so satisfying? Some scientists believe the answer lies not in the mouth, but in the brain's own painkillers. That is a fascinating story for another time, but for now, we know why the fire burns. The global spread of chili peppers is a relatively recent accident of history, beginning only 500 years ago. Before the 1490s, chili peppers were exclusive to the Americas, meaning cuisines now famous for their heat were entirely devoid of them. Imagine a world where Thai curries, Indian vindaloo, and Korean kimchi lacked their signature fiery punch. That was the reality for centuries. The shift began in the early 1490s when Columbus landed in the Caribbean, searching for black pepper, but finding chilies instead. He misidentified the plant as a pepper, a naming error that has persisted in our language for over 500 years. While Columbus brought the plant to Europe, it was the Portuguese traders who truly accelerated its spread across the entire globe. They hauled chilies from Brazil to Goa in the early 1500s, and from there, the plant exploded into the local culinary landscape. The adoption was so rapid that botanists for centuries mistakenly assumed that chili peppers were actually native to India. By 1569, the plant had reached Hungary, eventually becoming the foundation for iconic dishes like paprika-rich goulash. This means that the ancient heat in your favorite curry or kimchi is actually younger than the invention of the printing press. Before chilies arrived, heat came from black pepper, ginger, or Sichuan peppercorns, which stimulate entirely different receptors in your mouth. Those traditional spices provide a numbing, tingling sensation, whereas the chili pepper delivers a direct hit to your TRPV1 alarm system. As these peppers became a global commodity, the need to categorize their intensity led to a significant scientific breakthrough. In 1912, a chemist named Wilbur Scoville developed a method to measure the heat of peppers by diluting extracts in sugar water. Testers would sample these dilutions until the heat was no longer detectable, creating the foundation for the famous Scoville Scale. Today, that scale ranges from the 0 heat of a bell pepper to the 2 million units of a Carolina Reaper. Every number on that scale is essentially a measurement of how effectively the capsaicin molecule tricks your body's nerve endings. It quantifies the intensity of the false alarm, telling us exactly how hard the plant is trying to convince you it is burning. So, the full picture is that your body is not malfunctioning. It is simply being expertly fooled by a clever chemical defense. This molecule, native to the Americas, was dragged across the globe by traders and now hijacks a receptor meant for fire. The sweat, the racing heart, and the watering eyes are all physiological responses to a threat that does not actually exist. Your nervous system is being played, yet across cultures with no prior contact, people did not just tolerate this sensation. Instead, they began to crave it, turning a plant's desperate evolutionary defense into a globally celebrated culinary experience. This brings us to a deeper mystery. Why would our brains interpret a signal of physical danger as something pleasurable? If the body is screaming that it is in danger, why do we seek out the very thing causing the alarm? Some scientists believe the answer lies not in the mouth, but in the complex chemical response triggered within your brain. When the TRPV1 receptors fire, the brain registers a threat and immediately attempts to mitigate the perceived damage. It releases its own natural painkillers, known as endorphins, to counteract the intense, burning signal from the nerves. These endorphins are the same chemicals that provide a runner's high, creating a sense of well-being and mild euphoria. The result is a paradoxical feedback loop, where the pain of the chili is followed by a rush of pleasure. This transition from a defensive plant weapon to a beloved global flavor remains one of the most fascinating intersections of biology. It highlights how human psychology can transform a simple evolutionary deterrent into a cornerstone of our global culinary identity. We have effectively hacked our own survival mechanisms, finding joy in the face of a chemical deception that was meant to stop us. The chili pepper is a testament to human curiosity and our unique ability to adapt to even the most intense stimuli. Ultimately, our love for the chili pepper proves that we are uniquely capable of finding pleasure in the heat of the moment. It is a story of evolution, trade, and the brain's remarkable capacity to turn a false alarm into a lifelong obsession.